Hello, this is Chuck Williams, and it's my great honor and privilege to introduce my good friend Mike Mucci. Mike will be leading us tonight as he teaches us more about LinkedIn lead generation training, but more than LinkedIn, a complete overall marketing strategy to help you build your Sherlock business. And obviously, you can apply it to anything, like Mike has his golf business, but we specifically want to tailor this towards your Sherlock business, and we want to help each of you have lots of leads and good people to talk to, quality people to talk to, including our warm market. So, Mike, over to you, sir.
Thanks, Chuck. Good to be here tonight, and looking forward to this call tonight. I thought about a lot of it this afternoon. And how many new people do we have with us tonight in our attendance that did not take the LinkedIn training? The initial LinkedIn training.
I see two, Mike.
Okay,
two
very
new people,
good.
and I know I've got a couple other new people that said they couldn't be here live, but they will definitely watch the recording.
Very good, very good. All right, this is lesson 3, and lesson 3 is titled Understanding Needs and Wants. And so many times as entrepreneurs, we overlook this. And it's the two parts of this training, Chuck, are very important in developing the right mindset and the stature and the positioning and the posture and understanding the individuals we hope to bring into our business and what they're thinking. So, as you and I spoke a little bit this week, Chuck, I thought it was imperative that we review this, because what these two points that we're going to talk about this evening, unless you kind of have those under control and you feel good about it and you understand about it, no tool in the world is going to allow you to go forward and sustain and be successful. And what Chuck is looking for is to develop leaders that can sustain their businesses and duplicate. So let's spend a little bit of time on these 2 points tonight. The first one is understanding needs and wants. The most important lesson I feel in this entire training, and it's always good to review this, and it has to do with what we call emotional logic. And I like to be able to make this point just telling you a story as I learned it. And it goes like this. An executive from a very large computer manufacturing company asked this question and wanted to know if an expensive, sophisticated software package in the $100 to the $1,000 to $5,000 price range could be sold via direct response lead generation campaigns. The answer the instructor gave was yes, if you know who your prospect is and why he should want the software. Now, the executive then gave a 10-minute dissertation on why his software was needed. So let's go over that sentence one more time. The executive gave a 10-minute dissertation on why his software was needed. Or the distributor gave a 10-minute dissertation on why his app was needed. Follow along with me. He said, for one thing, the executive said, it sped up the processing of certain data by 200%. For one thing, it sped up the processing of allowing people to find better prices online. So, the instructor said to the executive, so a guy could get a project done in 1/4 the time it takes now and go play an afternoon of golf without feeling guilty. And the executive asked, what does golf have to do with it? The instructor answered, hopefully you understand that golf has everything to do with it. Why in the heck would a person want to get their work done, I'll change that, 4 times faster if they are going to get as a result, all they get more as a result, is more work to do. And I thought that's so powerful because we forget the difference between, emotion and logic. Okay? So if we have a product and service that allows somebody to do something better, what's the reward that person's going to get? How is it going to change, their situation? And in this case, I hope it makes the point. I wanted to ask everybody here, what are you currently communicating to your prospective Sherlock distributors along these lines? Okay? Are you asking them to work more hours each and every day if they're going to come into business with you? What should you be communicating to your prospects and reinforcing daily with your distributors? So let's take the distributor part of it for just a minute and how I feel that it relates to this, and then Chuck, I'm going to ask you for your comments here in a minute. But think about this for a minute. Okay? Here you have possibly a distributor. You have to ask yourself, why are they looking to earn extra income? Are they trying to transition? Are they unemployed? What is their situation? Okay? And in most cases, a lot of people have a primary job or a career, and they're looking to make extra income, correct? In many cases. So are we asking them to work more? Or are we asking them to possibly sacrifice some time to learn a new way of earning money in a new economy? So I think it's very important that you kind of understand what makes that potential prospective distributor click. What are they thinking? Chuck, can you add anything to that? I think you know where I'm going with this, so
I do.
Go ahead and feel free to comment.
Yeah, I like the direction you're going, Mike. I think the one thing we take for granted sometimes that we're in the business, we understand the need people have for residual income. We understand that if you don't have enough residual income, you can never retire. And so I think the thing people are really wanting and needing, whether they understand it or not, is they want to have a vehicle that's creating enough residual income to provide what we commonly call financial freedom. Making more money residually than you have expenses. And that's really the dream that most people have. But we have to do a better job of articulating that so people are willing to pay the price for the 2 to 5 years that it's going to take for them to build a successful business. Mike, I think of Pam Benjamin. She's on here with us tonight, but I think of her and I think of Karen Parsons as 2 great examples of ladies who have just hung in there, kept learning, kept doing, and I can see in their businesses how things are evolving and panning out to be very, very successful for them long term. But it does not happen overnight. I'm watching both of them basically use your training, Mike, to find the people that's helping them build an organization that's going to provide for their financial futures. But the thing is, we've got to be able to think beyond today, because if you're thinking just today, you're better off to go get a part-time job somewhere, work a few hours, get a paycheck. But when you really understand most people really need financial freedom, which only comes through residual income, that's what the Sherlock can bring. And that's why it's a short but a very difficult time, because like you said, Mike, we're going to keep doing what we're doing. We're going to give up some free time to build a business. It's going to take a while before it starts to produce fruit. But that fruit long term can be what provides for us in our retirement and allows us to do the things we really want to do. So don't mean to jump on my soapbox there. You really struck a nerve, because that's what we've got to communicate to people that I don't think we're doing a good enough job at, myself too. When we give these presentations, we've got to make sure people relate what they really want in life is more time and more money. But the only way they're going to get that is to give those two things up short term to where they can build a business that produces those things long term. So very good, Mike.
Okay. One thing I would like to add, as you find individuals and you select them and you go through an interview process with them, and many of you asked, those 4 questions, what are your goals, and then that 4th question is, why do you feel that you haven't achieved your goals yet? Okay, so what that person might be looking for is, I'm about, let's say they say, I'm about to retire and I need extra income. I think what you have to not only focus on in your interview process, but also in the motivation process and the development process of that person is you have to know what their picture is, going forward. If an individual needs extra income for whatever it may be, I think you have to kind of focus on what that extra income will bring them, and how it'll change their life, how it'll make their life better. And that's a key part of motivating people. And I know this, sometimes we have to reverse things. We can't be thinking about this person to go get 2 people, or I need this person to get 4 people, and gee, they're not doing enough or whatever. And part of your position as a leader is to keep that vision alive for them. But you got to know what that is going in to the process with them. I think that's what we're trying to tell you here tonight. What's the thing and you got to keep bringing that up, and you got to keep reminding them, and you got to keep emphasizing that, and you got to keep supporting their vision, because we all get everything we want in life by helping others get what they want. And that's a critical part about being a leader, building your team. So anybody have any questions on that? You want to write in the chat box or anything like that? I'll stop for a few minutes and we'll discuss it right here. How many of you have been thinking along those kind of lines as you've been building your business, or here as you've entered the business? Maybe, we could get a yes or a no from everybody in the chat box. I'd like to take a little survey here right now, if we could.
Mike, can you see the questions?
No, I cannot.
You should be able to. Let me see. All right, anyway, John Arding, good friend Farmer John, says, I'm going to start taking my Social Security, but I need 3 times that to feel retirement comfortable. He was addressing a question earlier. Then Marcus, Pam, Terry, John Stack, Pastor John Stack, and Farmer John Arding, Anne Marie, KB from Mexico, every single one of them saying yes to your question. John Stack says, I'm learning the importance of asking good questions. John Arding is asking, what questions are you asking? Oh, I guess he wants you to repeat your question. Sorry, John. Just repeat your question, Mike.
My question was, when you're doing an interview with a prospect, you've got to kind of find out what their vision is. When they get involved in a business and when it's producing what are the things involved with that besides money that's going to change their situation? Are they going to have are they going to have extra money for their grandchildren? Are they going to have the additional retirement money to be able to do some things and enjoy? I think you have to be able to define what that person's looking for. And you got to keep building your relationship with them on helping them keep that vision out in front of them and reminding them that you're helping them to get it. Okay? You got to be compassionate regarding what you're trying to accomplish with that person. They're going to appreciate that. They're going to appreciate that. And I just don't think we do that enough. I mean, we're really interested in plugging people into, trainings and this and that, but that's all technical stuff. It's that emotional, gear we want to keep going forward with, Chuck, and that's what keeps people motivated. And I think it's really important that we understand that process and do it. And John, you're making reference to yourself, but what about the people you want to bring into your business? See, John, they don't really care about what you want. Get 3 more times your Social Security so you can retire comfortably. But if you can help them get what they want, John, what's going to get taken care of going down the road with that person? And the next person and the next person you're helping.
Mike, I have found a good way to find out what their why is to share mine with them and basically tell them why I'm doing the Sherlock, and maybe even share with them why some other friends of mine are doing the Sherlock, and then ask them, if they have a similar why. And that's usually a good way to break that conversation. While we're waiting, there's still a couple people that have not answered, but let's see. Anne Marie in Canada says, yes, relationship building is important. KB says, yes, but not enough. Thanks for the reminder. Ann Lear says, yes, all caps. Brent Dufresne, yes. Mike Wickham, yes, I understand the point you're making. Very valid. And then a couple other comments from people who have already answered. But if I didn't read your name out, it means I haven't seen your answer. Hopefully you know how to do what we're talking about. You simply ask the question in the webinar format. That'll bring you up to where I can see. But got a few people who have yet to answer. So it's important that this be a interactive training.
Chuck, one of the things I want to bring up along with this is, yes, you find out what their why is. What I would like everybody to consider is this. As you start your business with this person and you bring them in, think about asking them, reminding them 2 to 3 times every week. Let them know that you are interested in helping them. And just don't do it once in the preliminary interview process. It has to become, something that you do on a weekly basis. Be concerned about their situation and ask them about it. Ask them questions. Stay involved in what they're motivated for. And that'll help you get them to stay really engaged, because guess what? They're going to know you really care. How do you show them that you really care? Keep bringing it up, and you be sincere about it. Put that into your process of bringing people into your business and helping them get to the next steps as you go down the road with them. And that's what we're trying to communicate here in this step. Any comments or questions on that before we move to part B?
You got a couple more people that are listening. Joe here in my hometown says yes. Benita Jassy, part of the awesome Sherry Tabs team, says yes, this is their vision. It's what I had not connected. So very good. Good takeaway there, Benita. And Mike, one of the things you said that really struck a chord with me is keeping this in front of the person, not just when you're going through the preliminary interview. Of course, we want to do it then. And I think too many of us skip it even then, myself included. I tend to get in the habit of not focusing enough on this part. I think it's the most important part. Diane was whispering in my ear, nothing romantic or anything, but just, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And we've all heard that, but I think sometimes we forget how real and important that is. But it's not just in the initial preliminary interview, it's the ongoing relationship. And you constantly need to be reminding people about their why and that you're there to help them fulfill that why. So great foundation, Mike.
Yeah, and I want everybody to kind of write down on a little piece of paper on their desk what Chuck said and what Diane said there about caring, okay? Because that's going to be important as we get into Part B here. And like I said in the beginning of the training tonight, until you kind of understand this in your mindset, any tool that you use isn't going to allow you to be successful unless you put some of these other, personal relation building strategies in place. Okay, because and you're going to see this come to light in Part B here, and I know this is going to make a lot of people here feel a little bit uncomfortable. But the whole idea of LinkedIn Plus is to take you out of your, take you outside the box here a little bit. We could show you how to use LinkedIn in all the things and all the new things in LinkedIn in 1 week. We could show you everything, but that isn't going to guarantee that you're going to sustain your business and duplicate and scale it. So we're trying to give you a bigger foundation here that you can rely on. Okay, when things get a little difficult, they do in every business, you're going to have a really good foundation. You're going to be able to overcome some things that most people can't. Okay, so let's get to Part B, and we call that how to be ultra effective with your Sherlock business when attracting LinkedIn professionals. Okay, now I want everybody to relax. This is a training session. This is not, nobody's going to grade you or anything like that. The fact that you took the time out of your busy day today and you're here tonight speaks volumes, doesn't it? Each and every day we empower ourselves with new information and we put it in place and we become better at our craft the next day. So these questions that we're going to have in this part, they're going to require real honesty and clarity. Okay? Real honesty and clarity. And I want to say something that isn't on the notes. Everybody is in exactly where they are in life because that's where they really want to be. We all control where we are. We all can make choices, right? We have to be responsible for our choices. Everybody is where they are in life, in their business, because that's exactly where they want to be. They're the only ones that can change it. So, when you joined Sherlock Nation, I'm almost positive you were not inspired. You were inspired. Excuse me. You were inspired by Chuck Williams and what he stands for, and you were attracted to his success. Okay, that's how many of you got here, and each and every one of you that brought in new people. That teaching, that funnel kind of went through Chuck. So I want to ask you this question first. How do prospects perceive you? How would you perceive yourself? When somebody wants to go into a business, they have a need, they have a want. You know, there's that emotional thing, there's that logical thing, so on and so forth. But how do prospects perceive you? And that is a very, very important question that you really need to answer honestly. If you turned the tables with that prospect, and they were the one trying to interview you and bring you into the business with them, I want you to reverse the roles. How do prospects perceive you? Because that is very, very important. How would you perceive yourself? I mean, it isn't the product and service that's going to bring you to the promised land. That only brings you so far. Doesn't happen. So how do prospects perceive you? How would you perceive yourself? Do you think it's good enough? What can you do to improve it? And I want you to answer this honestly. This is not a pass and fail question. Not a pass and fail question. It's very important that you can answer this question. And many of you heard this question in our initial LinkedIn training. It was in lesson 1. But we feel it's important to revisit it and spend ample time on it, because we feel it's a key to you being able to attract really good people, sustain and duplicate your business. Okay? Why should your prospect choose to go in business with you versus every other available option that they have? When somebody's looking to go into business, man, they're looking at multiple opportunities. How are you going to differentiate yourself from everybody else? Well, I'm going to help you with that answer. But I want you to think back to when you got involved with the Shopping Sherlock. Many of you came into this through Chuck. And I want you to think about how you perceived Chuck Williams. What was magnetic about Chuck? Was it his enthusiasm? Was it his honesty? Was it the fact that he was successful? Was it the fact that he was a good family man? Was it the fact that he's a Christian? What was it that brought you here? Because you got to be able to duplicate something like that in the eyes of your prospect. You've got to shine in front of their eyes. There's got to be that magnetic attraction. Very important. So, how many of you can think back to when you first got into the Sherlock business? I was hoping everybody could, write something down in the chat box. Take a little break right here, and I want you to think back how you felt and why you went into the Sherlock business. Not the fact that it was an app that you could save money. There was something else going on there that made you feel comfortable and gave you, that extra hope. Because there's a lot of businesses and services that can bring a lot of different, things to the table. But what was it that brought you into the Sherlock business? So let's take a minute, put something in the chat box. We don't have to read off their names here. Karen, I just want to hear some of the answers, okay? Anything you'd like to add, Chuck?
No, I like where you're going. I mean, it's a little, I don't like it being about me, but I understand where you're going. So I think it's important that each one of them understand where you're going. If they don't develop the qualities that people want to follow and want to be part of their team, they're never going to have success. So I love where you're going. So just keep it up. You're doing great.
Okay, because I am going to help them answer the question at the end. I'm not going to leave everybody out there, in space at the end of this. I want them to be able to understand what's going to differentiate them from other people, that are looking to bring people into business with them, and how they can stand out and how they can demonstrate and offer different things that's going to make them attractive to people. So let's get a few answers first, Chuck, okay? Let's take a minute to do that.
All right, we've got several people writing down their answers, so thank you to all those who have answered. And if you're still typing, don't write too much. But Ann Lear, I won't name names anymore, but she said all those wonderful qualities. A couple other people said something similar. Persistence, belief, enthusiasm, and faith was one person's answer. Another's was passion, integrity, success. Another was, I got in the Sherlock business because I trusted Chuck to tell the truth, that this business would one day be huge. I also wanted financial freedom to build my ministry. Another says the product didn't matter as long as it was internet or web-based, but honesty was the key. Another said willingness to support. Another said because of a previous business relationship. And when it started to fail, he didn't try to sugarcoat it to just keep him involved. I think, Mike, that gets to integrity, looking out for what's best for the other person.
Right. I heard trust, integrity, honesty. Right. I mean, you go back and all those things are there, right? It wasn't so much the product, Chuck.
Karen, are you laughing at a comic strip or some?
Well, I'm trying to get my comment in, and it keeps going back to Marcus. I can't put it in the main thing. But what I wrote was I respected you as a leader with integrity that was really committed to helping each one of us.
Mike got a few more comments here. One of our young leaders says, I need to get better at being a leader and attracting people to me. I wouldn't follow me at this time.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. We can work with that.
Yes, we can. And that's honesty right there. That's what people are looking for, is that type of honesty.
Yeah. That's what we're trying to do. And one other thing that comes out of all this is, integrity, honesty, truth, so on and so forth. But I'll say one thing that a lot of you missed on. Chuck cares. He provides trainings for you. I mean, we're going into some deep things here that very few people in the entrepreneurial world, there's a lot of people that do good in business, but they're not naturals at it. They've spent a lot of time at it. Their scars have become their strengths, And what we're trying to do here is we're trying to share with you and have you avoid a lot of those things, okay? But the person that just brought that up, we could give you all the tools in the world, but it isn't going to help you get to where you want to get to until we can do a little bit of minor surgery here and help you. And that's what we're trying to do, and that's why this class tonight is very important, and we're going to keep bouncing back to this every once in a while. As you can tell, Chuck and I are doing this from our hearts too, okay? We're getting into some touchy areas here, okay? Really. And a lot of us work really good under pressure, and when we can bring things out, we know how to make things a little bit better. So what I really want to tell you is this. All those things that everybody wrote down, they're all true. And it just goes to the point of saying to you that the product really is secondary. It's the people you work with, and it's it's the relationships that you build, and it's the trusts, and it's. But I think what's happened in some cases is this: you can't become dependent on Chuck. And what we're trying to do here is say, you've got to be able to take some steps and get out of your comfort zone. You got to be able to do that, I think, within 60 to 90 days, where you're standing up and you're confident, and you're working together with Chuck. You're not you're not using him to do all things for you. And in a lot of cases, I think, even in myself, I've skirted back into that. And we have to take more responsibility as ourselves. So what I want to say to you is this: why should your prospect choose to go in business with you versus every other available option that they have? Well, I can tell you a couple of things. You might want to write these down. Okay? Because I'm going to ask you to do a little bit of self-analysis for your homework and get that information over to Chuck and myself. It's going to be private. We're not going to share it with anybody, but we want to be able to help each and every one of you overcome whatever obstacles you feel that you have, And I'm not talking about presenting the Sherlock. I am talking about getting yourself, up to speed where you feel confident that you could be an attractive component for people looking to come into a business. Okay. Now, one of them is this. The ability to be able to reinforce to that person to help them get what they want to accomplish. And we'll tell you exactly how to do that. Once you find out what that person wants and what their why is, you've got to be able to reinforce that on a weekly basis. Knowing, you're not coaching them how to use an app, you're coaching them how to be successful so they can get the things that they want. You got to keep that vision very clear for them and out in front of them. Okay, another part of this is this. You're going to be able to show people how to utilize, really good marketing strategies that will allow them, to find the right people, sift and sort through the right people, and bring good people into a business. And do it systematically, daily, knowing exactly how they're driving that car every day. And I can tell you this. In the digital world we live in today, it's, as I said many times before to some of you, it's so much easier to do it, using offline and online strategies to get people into a funnel and get you in a position where you're going to pick the people you want to be in business with. But we got to work on that foundation first. Got to work on that foundation, and that's what this training is all about. So, let's take the time to reflect on this. And Chuck is looking for leaders, distributors who can sustain and duplicate, and that's good for everyone. That's good for everyone. Getting 4, helping those 4 people understand the same process you went through. How many other businesses out there are really going to be able to teach people what you're learning right now? So that's one way you can differentiate yourself. We talked about 2 of those ways tonight. Okay? Very important about building that foundation for you. Anything you'd like to add, Chuck?
Sorry, Mark, I was on mute. No, I think this is a great foundation. And I think as we focus on this quality and becoming a leader that people want to follow, and one of the big things, Mike, is until they're able to develop their own reputation and their own success, I think another thing you've been teaching us in this class is they need to piggyback on my success that I've been able to have in this business, and even yours. Where in the world can you go and plug people into a company and a business where they're going to have the number one income earner and the guy that teaches him his marketing, helping them succeed in the business. So, and that marketing is available to the people they bring in the business too. And that's one of the things I think even our leaders like Marcus and Sherry and Karen and Pam, and I don't want to pick up, but those four always come to mind when I think of people that I think have applied your training as well as anybody. One of the things I think that Pam is doing a good job now is getting her new people involved in the training. And I know Sherry has a couple of her people involved in the training. That's really the next level, is when you start to use this, but then you also use my credibility and Mike's training and his credibility to sustain your own business. And then it won't be long and you will be that leader to where people can be using you to do the same thing for themselves. So, Mike, I think the path you're taking us on is a great one to be on.
Okay. So, it's a little bit more than just, bringing a distributor into the business, a friend or a family member. That's just a small part of it. Truthfully, it's just a small part of it. So many have stayed, get up to the starting line, but when the gun goes off to start the race, they don't want to run the race. They're hesitant. They're fearful. And we got to get everybody past that. And I want to, you will, the only way you can run a good race is you got to practice. And we're going to help you with that. But one of the things I'd like you to do in your assignment, and this is going to take, like I said, some self-analysis, and you got to be truthful. Take a personal inventory of your current situation. Everybody here could bring somebody into this business. But how many of them can sustain and duplicate? How many here can keep that vision out in front and motivate that other person and take on that leadership role? Okay? The message in Lesson 3A and 3B kind of go together. Answering that question, why your prospect should choose to go in business with you versus every other available option that they have. I want you to try to answer that question the best way you can. Are you going to get it right? No, you're not. But we got to start thinking about that. We're going to help you with that. Okay? So that'll be the homework assignment for next week. And I'm really looking forward to, getting your feedback on this. I think it's very, very important at this, juncture of this training that we address this, okay? Because we're going to have a lot of great things to show you for offline and online, a lot of new things from LinkedIn, a lot of great opportunities offline as well, but I think we need to get this in place first. Chuck, that's all I have tonight.
All right, Mike, I appreciate that very much, and you've heard your homework assignment. Let's get that done, and let's keep reaching out to people. In the meantime, give them the app, show them how to use the app. Then after you've shown them why they need the app, focusing on their needs, see if they're interested in fulfilling some of those needs with this Sherlock income opportunity. If they are, you're going to take them to www.sherlocknation.com/your ID number. You're going to click on opportunity, and you're going to have them watch the 3 videos on that opportunity page. Don't focus on all 3 videos, though. Focus on the top video. It's about 3.5 minutes. That video will get them interested if it's meant to be. Again, you got to get them in the right mindset, find out what their why is, and then tell them, I think I might have something. Here's what I found, and then bring them, show them, tell them to follow you, take them to the page. Don't just send them, take them to the page, watch that video. When they're interested, have them watch the second and third video on the same page, And then that's where the teamwork really plays in. Have them connect with me. Karen, if you don't mind, if you could maybe set up a LinkedIn lead generation group on Skype, connect me, Pam, yourself, Marcus, and then I will connect all the others. If you're not connected with us leaders on Skype, that's the best way to communicate with me. So get connected with me. Global Chuck is my Skype name. Global Chuck is my Skype name. Get connected on Skype. I will add you to our Skype group, and then in that group we can encourage one another and share ideas there in a very, very fast, easy format and not have to rely on email communication. Be a good place to, you can connect with me on Skype to send your homework each week, and then we'll get you the link to the next week's webinar and so forth and so on. So, Mike, great job. I really do think we're on the right path here. But in the meantime, folks, you don't have to wait till you know it all. You don't have to wait till you know all the tricks of LinkedIn. You can start today with that warm market that Mike helped you develop. Focus on the why, focus on them, show them you really care, and then take them through the 3 steps. Number 1, give them the app. Show them how to use it. Number 2, show them the video under opportunity at www.sherlocknation.com/ID number. Show them that top video. If and when they're interested, have them watch the next 2 videos. And then through Skype, connect them to me on a 3-way call. Let me talk to them for you. Let me show you by example how to walk them through the process. And we'll get them signed up for you. The people that do the most 3-ways with me are the ones who have the most success. And I know some of you are thinking, Chuck, you're too busy to do 3-ways. I'm not, because that's my top priority when it comes to this business is doing 3-ways. So when you've got a hot prospect that you've taken through the system, get them on the phone with me. I managed to make time during my day for those calls. It might not be the exact second you want to do it, but we will make it happen, and it does make a difference. The people that are having the most success are the people I'm talking to every day and helping them do 3-way calls. So, Mike, you got us on the right path here. I'm proud of you. I thank you. And the thing I like most about you is you're not just teaching from theory. You do the things you're teaching. You've done it in your golf business, and now you're doing it in the Sherlock business. You're applying your own teaching to your own Sherlock business, and I'm really excited to watch that come to fruition for you as you help many, many people. So any last questions before we wrap up here?
Chuck, Pam wrote a comment. She said, last week it was mentioned that we would get communication templates this week.
We are building the tools that we're going to need for the landing page and the offline marketing.
So they're coming.
Yes.
You know, Chuck, Mike, I'd kind of like clarification on this question. You wanted us to put why people would want to be in business with us. Is it as of today or where we're heading?
No. As of today, why would an individual want to be in business with Karen Parsons?
As of today. Okay. Sounds good. Chuck, I will go ahead and put that group together in a couple minutes.
Thank you, ma'am. I knew you wouldn't mind, and you could do it real quick. All right, I don't see any other questions necessarily other than Pam's, which you just answered. And so with that, we're going to call it a night. We'll see everybody next week, same time. And get your homework in between now and next week so you get a link to the next week's next week's invite. We're just causing you to be accountable, to hang in there week by week. And by the end of this training, we guarantee you at least 4 new affiliates in your business as a result of this business, as a result of this training. Therefore, what you want to do is as soon as they come into business, edify and encourage them to get plugged into LinkedIn training also so they can enjoy the same success you do. You get a team of people and everybody's getting 4. Their monthly subscription is waived and it's going to start to grow and compound. I'm seeing it in a couple places in my organization now and it is contagious and I'm really excited for it to happen for each and every one of you. All right, Mike, thanks a lot. Karen, thanks for your input and thanks to all of you for being here. God bless you and we'll talk to you soon, I hope.